professor of horn and graduate program director, Dr. Dakota Corbliss, and myself, who is the assistant professor of tuba and euphonium. Our silver level sponsors are Dennis Wick, Con Selmer, and Buffet Crampon, who is also supporting tonight's featured artist, Dr. Genevieve Clarkson. Our brass level sponsors are DF Music, Baylor University School of Music, who supported Monday night's artist, professor of trumpet with Rudd, KBI Music Shop, Greg Black Mouthpieces, University of Maryland School of Music, supporting assistant professor of trombone, Miles Blakemore, Shire's Company, who supported last night's artist, Hiram Diaz, Yamaha, Brass for Beginners, and Venture Mouthpieces. Can we take a moment to thank all of our sponsors, please? If you believe you can also help our mission and provide students with an amazing opportunity such as this and more, please come find myself or Dr. Dakota Corbliss or any faculty member to learn about the impact your tax-deductible donation can make. We accept donations via check, PayPal, or Venmo. You can learn more about us by visiting our website, www.brass-usa.com, or finding us on social media under Brass Institutes of America or at Brass USA. And now the moment we've all been waiting for. It's Tuba Day, the best day. No love? Okay, fine. There we go, there's a little bit. So our guest artist tonight is Dr. Genevieve Clarkson. She comes from Oklahoma City University. And all day, our guest artist has started with warm-up sections first thing in the morning, teaching some private lessons. We've also had a couple masterclass sessions and so forth and so on. And we're going to culminate with a wonderful performance here tonight. I think you all will enjoy it very much. Without further ado, this is Dr. Genevieve Clarkson on tuba, assisted by Dr. Warren Kim.
Thank you all so much for coming this evening. I think the ending of that first one caught you a little bit off guard. I'll try and like smile and give you a thumbs up when it's over, so you know. That first piece that you heard was Introduction in Dance by Fernando Dados. It's a new piece that was just composed last year, and actually it's part of this year's Falcone competition for young artists, so it's going to get performed and learned quite a bit this summer. Does anyone out there know Fernando Dados or know of Fernando Dados? He's a Brazilian euphonium player. He's a lovely person, an excellent musician. And something that I think is so funny I learned kind of recently about him is that Dados is actually not his like given last name. He picked it as a moniker because I think in Portuguese Dados means fingers. And so his name is like Fernando Fingers, and he goes by Fernando Dados professionally, which I just think is like such a cool thing. So, you know, maybe put a little thought into what your new last name would be if you could pick one. I always think it's interesting. The next piece on the program is called Call of the River by John Harmon. This is one of those pieces that just like lived in my drawer of music for, I could not possibly tell you when I acquired it, how I bought it, how I came to own it, but it's lived in my drawer in perpetuity. And this past year when I was looking for some new recital music, I was going through the stacks and just seeing what I have that I'd never performed before. And this one popped up, and I gotta say, I can't believe I've never performed it because it's so nice and so pretty. It's a little bit like of a cross between like Disney, poppy, moody music and like a classical lyrical solo, and so I think you will really enjoy Call of the River by John Harmon. So the next piece on the recital is the first movement of the James Barnes Concerto for Tuba. This recital doesn't really have a theme so much as it is me like trying to imprint on other tubists and other people that contrabass tuba can still be melodic and very soloistic. So you might, I'm not sure if anyone would have clocked this, but this tuba looks extra thick, right, compared to some of the other solo ones we see. And it's because it's pitched in C instead of F, which means it's a fourth lower than like the soloistic instruments that we typically see on tuba repertoire. And it's not that solo literature for this instrument doesn't exist, obviously, because I'm playing some of it, but there's just a lot less of it. And I think a big part of that is because the demand for new music and the demand for commissioning is almost always geared toward like F tuba, soloistic tuba, and usually the people who are heading up those consortia are folks who exclusively play F tuba, or that's kind of their main bag. And so I'm out here trying to preach the good word of low tuba and all of the great things that it can do, and this is one of my absolute most favorite pieces to play on C tuba. So this piece, this movement, I think really leans into kind of how jolly and silly tuba is, just kind of in isolation as an instrument is ridiculous, right? Like, what? Why is this an instrument at all? It's so silly. But I think this piece is like, it brings out sort of that silliness, the jolliness of the tuba, and it's just honestly so fun to play. There's also a really extended cadenza at the end of this movement where every entrance has a different character, and it's really fun to work on and to try and think about, you know, like literary characters and characters from TV shows or movies, and like how you might embody that person in each of these entrances. And so when I get to that cadenza section, I want you to think about what adjective you think I'm trying to evoke, because there are like very descriptive adjectives for each entrance, but I'd be curious to know if I'm doing it well enough for anyone to guess them correctly. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the first movement of the James Barnes Concerto for Tuba. So isn't that fun? Barnes is so fun. I feel like everything by James Barnes is really fun, but I do love that piece. So the next piece in the program is the second movement of another concerto. This piece is by Kevin Day, and the piece is called Metallic Figures. This is also a recent new composition, and it's really written for F-tuba, but I played the whole piece last year and really enjoyed it, but the second movement in particular I just fell in love with, and so I thought this would be a good opportunity to like test drive it on C-tuba. It's doable. But this movement, like the second movement, is so like kind of contemplative, especially compared to the outer two movements, which are very like almost like rock and roll a little bit sounding, and this one is more like understated, a little bit jazzy, some like really cool grace note action. But it's just such a nice piece, and I'm here to say that if you like a single movement of a work, it's okay to perform it in isolation, as I'm about to do for you now. So please enjoy the second movement of Kevin Day's Metallic Figures Concerto for Tuba. And I should say, this movement is called Time. There's one more work on this recital program with piano, and I want to take a second to thank Dr. Kim so much for playing with me this week. It's always, like anytime you travel to perform, you get like one rehearsal, and you just really keep your fingers crossed that the pianist is like good and can hang, and you're very good and you can very much hang. So thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause. I was saying to my husband before I left for this trip, I always get a little bit nervous for recitals like 2 days before. That's when like the nerves really strike, and then it's like once I rehearse with the pianist, I'm like, oh, I forgot how much better piano makes everything. But I've been working on this music by myself for a few weeks, and God, you just hear every little like blip and blurb when you're totally alone, which is how practicing works. Like, right, that is good. But oh my God, a good pianist can like cover so many of your sins as a musician. So again, it's really, really been wonderful to collaborate. So thank you again. So the last piece with piano on this program is a 2-movement work called Two Latin Dances by Lauren Bernofsky. The first movement is Bossa Nova, and the second movement is Tango. This is, I realized also recently, not intentionally, but this whole recital has been all works originally for tuba. There's actually no transcriptions on this performance. This is maybe the only one with an asterisk because it was commissioned by Natalie Mannix, who's a trombone player, teaches at UNT. But Lauren Bernofsky also released this solo for trombone, for F tuba, and for C tuba, or like B flat, all at the same time. So if you're interested in playing it, I highly recommend it. It is so fun. I just think like it's really enjoyable to play, and I hope you enjoy listening to it. So Two Latin Dances by Lauren Bernofsky, and then we're gonna have a little bit of a reset, and then there's 2 chamber pieces to follow. Okay, so we have a brass quintet next. We're going to do a little bit of stage change with chairs and stuff, and we'll be right back. little solo of, it's not the French national anthem. Oh, it's La Marseillaise, excuse me. It's like the unofficial French national anthem. This is one of my all-time favorite brass quintets to play. I was telling these folks that the first time I played it was, I think it was in 2005, and I was playing tuba at the Kennedy Center's like Summer Music Institute. And I'll tell you a secret, it sounds really impressive, but they called a tubist in locally, so everyone else had to like audition from across the United States, and I just got to drive in from my parents' place in Arlington, Virginia. But it was a great experience, and I got to play with some really fantastic musicians, and the first piece that I played in my brass quintet that I was in at that festival was this piece. And I fell in love with it immediately. I think you'll hear why. There's some really ridiculous like tuba moments in here that I just think are really fun. But yeah, have you enjoyed it?
Yeah.
Like, this is now my favorite
Yeah, it won.
French-Canadian brass
Absolutely.
quintet. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so this is 4 movements. The movements are marche, chanson mélancolique, valse de ridicule, which means ridiculous waltz, and then the last movement is, remind me what it's called, Dance Villageoise, thank you. And that's the one that has like the La Marseillaise in it. So I hope you enjoy Morley Calvert's Suite from the Originals. beautiful. One of my favorite pieces. So the last piece on this program is a piece called Wonderland Duets by Raymond Ludicky. So this piece is here, I'll take that one. Thank you. It uses text from Alice in Wonderland and has sort of this like, it was a tuba duet with narrator. But I think what's kind of fun about it is like the tubas really provide the ambiance, but the narrator provides like all of the theatrics that we kind of think of with Alice in Wonderland. So I'm going to be joined by Sam Ambrose and Abby Lannon to be performing this piece. Abby, I think maybe this is her debut as a vocal performer, so I'm really excited to do some Wonderland duets. We need to, again, to kind of reset the stage just a little bit, but let's welcome my collaborators. Debut as a narrator.
So excited.
Okay.
You're ready?
Yeah, please enjoy Wonderland Duets. This is 4 movements, 4 short movements.
Speak roughly to your little boy and beat him when he sneezes. He only does it to annoy, 'cause he know it teases. Wow, wow, I speak severely to my boy, I beat him when he sneezes, for he can thoroughly enjoy the pepper when he pleases. Wow, wow, wow. Will you walk a little faster, said old Whiting to a snail? There's a porpoise close behind us, and he's treading on my tail. See how eagerly the lobsters and the turtles all advance. They are waiting on the shingle. Will you come and join the dance? Will you? Won't you? Will you? Won't you? Will you join the dance? You can really have no notion how delightful it will be when they take us up and throw us with the lobsters out to sea. Then the snail replied too far and gave a look askance. Said he thanked the whiting kindly, but he would not join the dance. Would not, could not, would not, could not, would not join the dance. Would not, could not, would not, could not, could not join the dance. What matters it how far we go, his scaly friend replied. There is another shore you know upon the other side. The further off from England, the nearer is to France. Then turn not pale, beloved snail, but come and join the dance. Will you? Won't you? Will you? Won't you? Will you? Join in its eyelids, so he with his nose trims his belts and his buttons, and turns out his toes. When the sands are all dry, he is gay as a lark, and will talk in contemptuous tones of the shark. But when the tide rises and sharks are around, his voice has a timid and tremulous sound. "'Twas brillig, and the slimy toves did gyre and gimble in the wave. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mome rats outgrave. Beware the jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that scratch. Beware the jump-jump bird, and shun the frumptuous bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand,